Summoner's Rift is getting a complete overhaul. There's a new monster to slay called the Voidgrub. You can now ride the Rift Herald like a Scion alt, and top lane has become an ungankable island, while bot lane is more open than my girlfriend's DMs. In this video, we'll be going over every single change coming to Summoner's Rift in the new Season 14. But first, if you're feeling stuck where you just can't rank up no matter how hard you try, then Skill Capped is the solution you've been looking for. We have the most extensive collection of premium courses tailored for every role. The best part, you can try out our service completely risk-free. If you don't significantly improve while actively using Skill Capped, you get your money back, no questions asked. So what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description below to get the rank you've always wanted. Alright, now starting with the newest monster on the Rift, the Voidgrubs. 3 of them will spawn in the Baron pit at 5 minutes. Now, when you attack a Voidgrub, they will all aggro onto you and unleash a swarm of Void Mites. Fret not though, as they do pitiful amounts of damage. In fact, these Void Mites are worth 1 gold each, meaning if you really wanted to, you could just infinitely spawn them, farming them for gold. They won't give you any experience though. Instead, the main strength of the Voidgrubs are their tankiness. Not only do they have large health pools, but once you slay a Voidgrub, not only do you gain 50 gold and 75 experience, but all the other ones that are still alive will instantly gain a shield. Be careful though, as once you slay a Voidgrub, it will announce it to the enemy team. This means it could be wise to get all 3 of them low first, then take them all down at once to avoid being collapsed on. Now, for every Voidgrub you take down, your entire team, yes, you heard that right, will gain a permanent buff called Hunger of the Void. This gives every player on your team bonus damage to structures in the form of a damage over time effect. This dot lasts for 4 seconds, doing true damage each second. With a single Voidgrub slain, if you land just 1 auto attack on a tower, it still does a hefty amount of damage. However, if you slay all 3, the damage really starts to add up. It doesn't stop there though, as once slain, each Voidgrub has a unique respawn timer of 4 minutes. This means a maximum of 6 Voidgrubs can spawn in a single game. And if you manage to take down 5 out of the 6 Voidgrubs, you'll start summoning 1 Void Mite at a time when near towers that will start damaging them for you. Again, this will apply to each player on your team. The real crazy part about this though is your little Void Mite pet actually gets your damage over time buff to structures too, meaning they can really pack a punch. What gets even crazier is that if you take down all 6 Voidgrubs, you and your teammates will summon 2 Void Mites to assist you instead of just 1. And it is worth noting, the tower will prioritize Void Mites over minions. So if you want to truly maximize your damage, just push with a siege minion wave, as the Void Mites will stay alive the longest, applying that dot. These Voidgrubs don't stay on Summoner's Rift forever though. At 14 minutes, they'll despawn if they're still alive and be replaced by the new Rift Herald. At first, you'll notice Shelly has a new Void-inspired paint job. However, you still take her down the exact same way as before, focusing the eye that spawns on the back while she has the same attack patterns. The real big changes come when you activate the Eye of the Herald that she drops. The Rift Herald will spawn as usual, but you'll actually be able to right-click the Herald to jump onto her. This will allow you to steer Shelly's charge exactly like you would Sion's ultimate. If you charge the Herald into a turret, then it will do significantly more damage than if the Herald charged into one uncontrolled, and it gives you a big shield. All while spawning a ton of Voidlings, which apply the dot buff you gain from any Voidgrubs you've slain in the game. This allows you to destroy towers like never before. If all of this wasn't a big enough change for you, well, when you steer the Rift Herald, if you run into an enemy champion, then they will both be damaged and knocked airborne. This means if you really wanted to, you could use the Rift Herald as a team fighting tool. Maybe instead of using it for tower damage, you use it to engage a fight around Dragon, damaging and knocking up the enemy team. Keep in mind though, if your aim is lacking and you collide with any terrain, the Herald will take damage as if it has charged into a tower, and you'll be knocked off and won't be able to ride it again. That's because after the Herald has charged, you have to destroy whatever tower she's aggroed onto in order to reset her charge and be able to jump on her again. Now, the new Void theme doesn't stop at Shelly. The Blue Sentinel and Red Brambleback both have brand new effects. Once Baron spawns at 20 minutes, the next time a blue or red respawn, they will rise as Voidborn Sentinel and Voidborn Brambleback respectively. This transformation also comes with increased durability, making them harder to take down. But that's only due to the insane benefit you get when doing so. Once slain, blue and red will grant their buffs to the entire team of the player that takes takes them down, meaning your entire team can have all red buffs and blue buffs at the same time. The only exception is that any dead allies at the time of the takedown won't receive the buffs, similar to how Baron works. Additionally, after 20 minutes, once the Baron is spawned, the next Rift Scuttler that respawns will be turned into the Void Scuttler. When slain, it will send out a massive Scryer's Bloom effect, revealing all champions and wards in a large surrounding area. And similar to Scryer's, all wards revealed this way will be reduced to 1 HP. And finally, we have the big bad Baron Nashor himself, who's also received a visual update. It doesn't stop at the fresh coat of pixels though, he's also getting 3 brand new forms each with their own unique attacks and terrain. Hunting Baron will leave the pit unchanged, but will blast all nearby enemies with lightning from above. Territorial Baron creates a wall in front of the pit and will pull champions near him with his brand new hands. And the all-seeing Baron closes off the front and opens up both sides, creating a tunnel. With this new tunnel pit, there will be a Void Rift that creates a damage over time zone. Every game, once the Baron spawns at 20 minutes, one of these 3 forms will be selected and transform the Rift. And it's not just the visuals changing around the Baron pit, Riot has added in brand new music for when there's fighting around Baron or other Void objectives. And it seems like Riot's construction team has been hard at work, as they've also fundamentally changed how the entire Summoner's Rift is designed. In top lane, you'll spot several key changes. First, they've significantly extended this specific wall. The reason they did this is that prior to this change, if you were playing top on the red team, you'd be at a disadvantage, as the enemy could not only gank you from river, but also from behind. The top laner on the blue team didn't have this problem. That path no longer exists, meaning whether you're on the red team or blue team, you effectively have the same gank path. Second, they removed the brush that used to hug the left side wall and instead have placed a small brush in the center. Both of these changes should make top lane significantly harder to gank, as unless you want to take some tower shots, your only path to ganking the lane will be through the river. And without the previous brush, you'll be spotted much earlier by the laners when you go to gank. Not to mention that by adding the brush in the center, it means any wards placed in the brush will see you much earlier than placing wards in the previous one. So it seems like top lane is truly living up to its reputation of being an island. And to junglers and roaming support's dismay, we have the mid lane changes. Riot has pushed the brushes further back into the river. Just like top lane, this means laners will be able to spot incoming ganks much earlier, giving them more time to retreat to safety. They've also moved this one gank path much further back on both sides. Riot specifically mentioned the goal here was to create more safety for immobile mid lane mages, so players feel a little bit better when picking these types of champs. Then we have bot lane, and boy, I can't lie, it's not looking too good for them. The first thing you'll notice is they've added this new gank path on the red team's side. Prior to this change, it was only the blue side that could be ganked this easily from behind. This change was done for the same reason as the top lane changes. Try to make both sides more symmetrical and eliminating any side-based advantages when it comes to gank protection and warding. And it does accomplish this, but when comparing bot lane to both mid and top, it's undoubtedly the easiest to gank now. The second change they made is removing the previous brush in the river and replacing it with a small brush in the center instead. And this may seem like a potentially good thing for helping spot ganks earlier. However, there's one additional change to terrain in the river. Before, the blue buffs on each side had a giant wall, effectively forcing players to move through the river or take a very long detour deep into the enemy's jungle. However, that wall has now been destroyed, leaving a much quicker path to take as an alternative to the river. When you combine this new change with the new gank path on bot lane, you see how suddenly bot lane is looking a lot more vulnerable than before. And for the final change coming to Summoner's Rift, we have the new reworked Infernal Drake. Once the Infernal Drake gets locked in as the soul for the current game, which you'll know once you slay the second dragon, new Infernal Cinders will spawn around the map. Each Cinder will give the champion that picked it up adaptive stats beneficial to your champion and a burst of movement speed. Upon death, champions will drop half of their Cinders, which can then be picked up by other enemy and allied champions. I can only imagine how powerful you can become if you're the last player alive in a team fight, picking up everyone's Infernal Cinders that dropped. Probably as powerful as picking up all the knowledge from our courses at skillcapped.com. You see, at Skillcapped, we focus on things that actually help you climb ranks and simplify them so they're easy to understand. If you're feeling stuck where you just can't rank up no matter how hard you try, then Skillcapped is the solution you've been looking for. We have the most extensive collection of premium courses tailored for every role. Still skeptical? Don't worry. You can try out Skillcapped completely risk-free. If you don't rank up while actively using Skillcapped, you get your money back, no questions asked. You can unlock this game-changing opportunity right now through the link below. So what are you waiting for? Click the link to get the rank you've always wanted. And there you go. You now know all the map changes coming to Summoner's Rift in Season 14. We here at Skillcapped want to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.